Urgent message on the price action of XRP. We're going to discuss everything that you need to know about XRP's price, the recent moves, and the overall macro that is affecting the cryptocurrency market. So make sure you watch this video all the way to the end and you understand that nothing in my videos is financial advice. So taking a look here at XRP. On the day, we're up 0.55% and the market cap is now 124 billion. Relatively sideways price action over the last day, and in the last week, we have had some nice moves to the upside. Over the month, however, we are still down 10%, but that is, of course, due to the macro environment that we have here in crypto. Or in the overall macro, in fact. So we have the S&P 500 looking quite good. If we do check Yahoo now, we have the futures market showing us that there is a slight decline on the S&P 500 futures, only 0.01 at the time of recording this. So opening pretty neutral on the day, which hopefully means we could have another green day for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Now, the NASDAQ is very closely tied to the price action of, for example, Bitcoin, and we see them very similarly correlated up until this point. Now, NASDAQ is bouncing, and surprisingly, Bitcoin is also bouncing, or unsurprisingly, Bitcoin is also bouncing. So right now, Bitcoin's price is 85,400, and since the lows, we have had a bounce of about 14%. Now, if we do check out XRP and see from the lows to the where we are right now, that's actually had a move of 31%. So XRP continues to outperform Bitcoin on the pushes upwards, but it also has more swift moves to the downside and larger moves to the downside. We saw about a 50% correction for XRP and about a 31% correction for Bitcoin. So higher risk, higher reward, but also downside can be more for XRP. But as we like to do here on the channel, we take advantage of the volatility. So you can see here, I have my XRP trade, my SUI trade, and my Bitcoin trade. The XRP trade at 82% gain, and the Bitcoin trade now at 84% gain. Now, for the Bitcoin trade, we used 6x leverage. For the XRP trade, I used 3x leverage. The reason why I did this is because Bitcoin is less volatile than XRP, as we just saw with those percentages. So I feel a little bit more comfortable using higher leverage with Bitcoin than I do with XRP, but I still think that this trade here could absolutely print us money from where we are, because even where we are right now to the previous highs, 60% gains. And like we discussed yesterday, we have Standard Chartered Bank coming out and thinking or suggesting that XRP could hit $12.50 by 2018. Now, that's a very long way out. I understand that, but in the near term, I do think if we get the bull market started again for Bitcoin and the altcoins, XRP could very easily at least hit its previous high. Now, me personally, I think in this current bull run, I think about $10, depending on the macro environment, is what's possible. So a 369% move without any leverage, and with 3x leverage, that's about 1,000% move. So this could make us a lot of money, just even though I only used approximately $2,700 in this trade, and we've already made $2,300. So what we can do right now is we can bank profits from the trade if we want to. We can move break-even stop losses, or we can move stop losses to break-even, and that way, if the price reverses again and everything collapses again, maybe potentially on the open of the stock market, we can then be protected on our downside. So remember, that's how I like to do this market. Now, we also have big price predictions coming out over here on the Crypto Basic. What are the projected timelines basically for XRP to hit $10, $50, $100, and $500? Now, these are headlines that want people to click on it. If I went down further, we can see it's actually just used ChatGPT to talk about how it can hit these price targets, but it's saying XRP to $500 in 2040 or beyond. Now, anything is really possible in this market. I think it's relatively unlikely that XRP goes that high, but at $500, XRP's market cap would be 25 trillion, making it larger than the entire global economy of 2023. So these are the things you need to understand. Now, I know a lot of people think that the big banks are going to be using only XRP for their cross-border transactions, and maybe one day something like that happens, but these price predictions of absolutely astronomical proportions are there as speculation, guys. I personally like to trade the short term so I can make money, and I like like to invest into XRP for the long term, but I also like to take profits. So I do that over on weeks. You guys can do something similar. XRP, I was checking out the Ohm chart, the one that's been crashing recently, but over on weeks, you can trade with no KYC, no VPN, nothing like that. You don't need to provide any personal details, guys, and you can get up to 20% deposit reward if you follow the link down there in the description. Now, right now, they have a 1,000 Bitcoin protection fund, over 1,000 cryptos, and 5 million global users. And you can use up to a 200x leverage. And guys, email address, password, read the terms of service, and you can trade from anywhere in the world here on Weeks. So the links for that are in the description if you do want to grab it. Now, if we look at the overall macro, we have one issue that I'm seeing on the horizon, the S&P 500 forming a death cross. The last time we saw something similar to this on the S&P 500 was back here in March 22. Now, we did have a push to the upside of about 10% after that death cross, but then we dropped a further 25% to those lows. So that could be up and coming here. You see we're already bouncing, potentially another move 10%, let's say, to the upside. But then if something similar plays out, could be that 25% drop after that. If the S&P 500 starts to drop again, I do expect it to affect the price of Bitcoin, in turn, the altcoins, and then in turn, of course, XRP from there. Now, the standout in today is Ohm, who dropped over 80 or 90% in just a few hours the other day, which just goes to show the risk when it comes to altcoins, guys. So always be prepared for something like this to happen. Have your risk management, have your mitigation, have your diversification so you can protect yourself in case this sort of thing happens to you. Now, in the short term, guys, as we are seeing a more bullish market, we're seeing less fears of a recession come out. I do think that if Bitcoin's price starts to move upwards, we're going to see the likes of XRP follow that. With all the bullish news that's coming out, I think we are going to see some more upside, only if the macro landscape gets a little bit more relaxed. There is more calm in the market. And first of all, we want to be looking at SPX, the S&P 500, for that calmness, for that stillness, for that conviction for people to come back in. Because while there's no conviction like we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks for the overall markets, it's less likely that people are going to be piling into speculative assets like Bitcoin, like XRP, and like the cryptos. So that's just something that we need to be prepared for. We need to be patient for. And we do also have Ray Dalio saying something could be looming that's worse than a recession. We have something that's much more profound. We have breaking down of the monetary order. Now, that does sound scary, but for me personally, it makes things like Bitcoin quite attractive in this market. And you might also think that something like XRP might also fit into that category as almost a hedge against the crazy market environment. So let me know what you think. Do you think XRP is going to $12.50 by 2028? Or do you think it's going to be much, much higher? Or do you think it's going to be zero? Let me know in the comment section. I really want to hear from you guys. And if you do want to trade, remember Weeks is down there in the description, up to 20% deposit bonus on your deposits. And you don't need to provide any personal details to sign up here. So you can sign up from anywhere in the world using the links in the description. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.